Well, hey there. I'm Jay. Welcome to my booth. I do a lot of audiobook narration, and I've been working on this fantastic book with a great author by the name of Merritt Graves. The book is called Drive A, and it presents a lot of really, really cool and interesting challenges from a narrator's perspective in terms of how to best represent the material. Because sometimes when you read the words on the page, it makes total sense and it's legible to a reader. But then translating that from a reader to a listener, it's just different. And how do you make that as a narrator both entertaining, engaging, and just all around legible so that the listener understands what's going on and you're representing faithfully what the author's trying to portray. And so this passage in the first chapter I thought was really, really cool, and I wanted to share it in case anybody would find it helpful in their own audiobook narration journey, or just generally if you're curious. So I'm going to read a passage for you here, just a quick forewarning. It's got some adult-ish words and themes in it, so if you've got little ones around, be warned. But I'll read the passage, and then I'll talk about some of the things that were going through my head in preparing for it and in the performance of it to try and facilitate all the stuff that I was just talking about. I won't give you any background because this is how the book starts. Let's dive in. Chapter 1. Archived live feed. Copyright, trademark, video and text log. User, Traeger Logan. Subscribers, 1,520. Share price, $16.38. Engagement score, 93. Activity level, very high. Public sponsorships, none. Date, September 22nd, 2029, 6:48 a.m. Location, Union Square, Zone 4, San Francisco, California. You guys know I'm not one to shy away from mischief. Hypo needle roulette early adopter, red light skateboard roulette co-inventor / trademark holder, condom hole punch roulette original gangster. Those are my jams, yo, church. You see that piece of gum right there? Y'all know that if you really, really smash that tip button hard enough, don't, but if you did, I'd scrape it up off the sidewalk and have a chew for y'all, 'cause that's how much I care. He brushed his white tee where Hep C Don't Scare Me was scrawled across in big red lettering, sponsored by Hygieia Therapeutics, and buy links for merch and his creator coin popped onto the MR screen. Or I could go bang out some road angels in that intersection, throw the working stiffs for a little rush hour curveball, catch 'em slipping on route times, keeping it real. Although with 2 civic strikes, Traeger pointed at his eyes. That are your fault, Sammy. I know you called the pigs. I should probably slow my roll, since honestly, I'm not angling for a San Quentin sleepaway, as nice as I hear Marin is this time of year. Traeger glanced to the right, trying to keep up with the chat waterfalling down the side of his contact display. Reagan's Ghost 69. We want to see you in jail. Blank canvas. Drop in the soap. Oh, I bet. But my sponsors would bounce in a nanosecond if I got a serious misdemeanor. Adios rent, health insurance, dog food. So, guys, he made a double-handed focus gesture. You gotta chill with the jail memes on the subreddit and calling the Poe. I swear to God, this shit's getting out of pocket. Blank canvas. Inserted a gif of Traeger smoking weed in Golden Gate Park. Blank, what the fuck? I wasn't fucking around. Don't do me so dirty, player. Blank canvas. contact@sfpd.com. Inserted gif of a PSA with the caption, if you see something, say something. All right, 3-day ban incoming. This is like real life we playing. I know that's not exactly y'all's forte, bumming off mom's Wi-Fi and big chillin' on the family plan. You can at least pretend for me here. Blank canvas. Little touchy this morning, aren't we? The comment only lasted a second in the top right of Traeger's contact display before it disappeared, along with a thumbnail of Blank Canvas's avatar, a whiteboard filled with bright, childlike doodles, which caused the live tune-in count, a neon green digit on the opposite side of the screen, to fall from 379 to 378. So, a really cool and interesting passage, really interesting idea. So just a little bit of context, and then I'll talk about my thoughts for the whole thing. So in this book, everyone in the world has a stock value attached to them, and you can either trade publicly or privately, but you as a human being have a monetary value, which is a super crazy and honestly creepy-ish idea, and I'm into it. It's very prescient, it feels. And this guy, Traeger Logan, everyone also in the world has these sort of biomechanical components in their bodies. So you've got like nanobots in your brain that transmit information to essentially the cloud and stuff like that, which affects your share price. But also everyone has a film in their eyes, which acts as a heads-up display. So that's what Traeger's reading this essentially Twitch stream chat on. He's reading that in his eyeballs and streaming through his eyeballs. But this passage, why it's so cool, among many reasons, but it has sort of three different tiers of information. So first is, I think of it almost cinematically, because it starts off with this archived live feed. Video and text log, user, Traeger Logan. And if I were watching a movie, I imagine it as sort of the like text scrolling across the screen, the like, user, Traeger Logan, subscribers, 1,520. And so I adopted sort of a neutral, impassive, totally indifferent, just delivering information tone for that section, because I felt like that would deliver that sort of cinematic quality as best I could. And then with Traeger, he's in the real world, so he's lived in, he's a character, and you learn more about him as the book goes on, and he has this really deep underlying intelligence. But he's not the protagonist. The protagonist is watching this live feed after the fact. So then every bit of narration that comes up, he brushed his white tee, is from the perspective of the protagonist, who is Cable Rostenfarm, which you find out later in this chapter. So you have to sort of preload that, where you're adopting almost the same sort of text scrolling perspective, where it's cold, analytical, just watching this video happen on the things like he brushed his white tee that said Hep C, don't scare me. But at the same time, as he's brushing that white tee, it's from Cable's perspective, and so his world view and opinions flow into that, which I didn't really hint at necessarily, but it's important to understand that that's what's feeding into the narration. It's Cable Rostenfarm's perspective in the narrative bits. And then on top of that, there are these sort of Twitch chat people, Reagan's Ghost 69 and Blank Canvas, and then later in the chapter, dozens more show up. And in chats, if you've ever watched a live stream where there's chat scrolling up, everyone sort of has this anonymous tone to them, where you've got the handle, but everyone's voice is sort of the same, and it adopts, at least for me, whenever a like thing scrolls up in the chat, it's a neutral voice, but it's still talking to you. So I just kept that, because I wasn't interested in developing different characters for Reagan's Ghost and Blank Canvas, because they're not characters. They're just avatars in this chat. They are anonymous persons interacting with Traeger and sort of trolling him and all that jazz. So for them, it was just a neutral voice, but at the same time, I had to differentiate the handle from the speech, and at the same time differentiate those two things from when Cable is observing. So what I did technically, I'll just read this bit again. Traeger glanced to the right, trying to keep up with the chat, water falling down the side of his contact display. That's ostensibly Cable's perspective, and then Reagan's Ghost 69. That I adopted the sort of neutral text scrolling voice, and then here I adopted the sort of chat voice where he's just sort of shouting at Traeger. We want to see you in jail. Blank canvas. Drop in the soap. And so all of those subtle tone differences and projection differences where one is sort of lower and just neutral, blank canvas. Drop in the soap, I just put Traeger a certain distance away from myself to give that sort of distance. These characters are sort of shouting across the internet to Traeger. And then additionally with the inserting of GIFs and whatnot, which happens all the time in chats if you've ever watched them. I similarly adopted that sort of text scrolling voice where it's just neutral, impassive, here's an event that's happening. So all in all, a really, really cool example of the different sort of modalities that can happen in narration, where it goes from a character speaking to a narration from a third-party perspective to these other characters that are sort of anonymous avatars, talking to. It's just really, really cool. So anyway, I hope this was helpful for some folks out there, or at least interesting to you, because I find it really, really cool. If you're interested in checking out Drive A, it'll be up soon. We're finishing it up right now. And until the next one of these, if you have any questions about anything, drop them down below. And I'll see you in the next one. Until then, be well. Toodles.